Ons gesels môre met een van, in my persoonlike opinie, dalk die beste kaptein wat die Springbokke nog gehad het, John Smit. Hy is hier vanmôre, ons gesels spesifiek oor die CEO Cycle Challenge, wat hy ook gaan deelneem aan. Good morning, John.
Goeiemôre, hoe gaan dit?
It are going good.
Fantasties.
Yeah.
Yes.
John, it's lovely having you today. You're here to talk to us about the CEO Cycle Challenge. Firstly, let's just tell everybody what the CEO Cycle Challenge is.
It's an idea of trying to get South Africa's CEOs together and to rally around what the Hall of Fame have been doing around empowering kids that perhaps are not as financially able to attend a school that a lot of people can.
Yeah.
And that have huge potential, but that just through their resources aren't able to get that kind of education. And so it's a massive drive, and Pretoria Boys High is one of the first schools that they have chosen to use as the vehicle for enabling these kids, and they've done an amazing job so far. The program's already in place, but I think the CEO Cycle Challenge is around creating awareness so that the sort of heads of business can get together. And I think that'll bring a lot of like-minded people together so they can network and obviously create more business. There's obviously a lot of advantages around Section 18As, but really to try and show the leaders of industry what the Hall of Fame are trying to do for the children of this country, because that really is where the next CEOs are going to come from as well. So I think that's really what the essence of this. I think the indoor cycle and the race between Lucas's team and my team and rugby versus soccer, it's all fun, and being able to sit next to a celebrity or ex-rugby player or ex-football player is pretty cool. But I think it's much bigger than that around creating awareness of what the Hall of Fame are trying to do for kids in this country.
What are some of the problems that children face that do not have the opportunity to actually have certain opportunities that other children perhaps have?
Look, if it comes to trying to identify the challenges that some of the children in this country have, we could be here for a long time. And I think a lot of it comes around ingrained problems like unemployment, and so that's resources, that's money.
Yeah.
So, one of the interesting things around boys that get to go to schools, not just Pretoria Boys High, but go to schools that have been assisted, whether it's by fundraising and that, is that it's a very, it's the environment that they're used to, and we can start, there's a number of things, but nutrition is one thing. A lot of the boys will come into the hostel and actually want to stay there on the weekends because they'll get 3 meals a day. So we take that for granted because of how privileged we were growing up, and I think these are just one of the small things that I think people don't really get around. It's not just about affording the school, but it's a change in lifestyle. It's a change in culture as well. If you take a kid that's from a different province and you put him in a different, there's a lot of cultural changes as well, which all of these things need to be handled. And I think that's where you need a holistic approach where you can't just grab someone out of an environment and drop them into another environment. There's a lot that's at stake there. So your question is a really important one, but there's so many facets to understanding the differences of this kid's opportunity and how to make it work, because it's almost like jumping from a cold bath into hot water. Sure. And you've got to somehow figure out how to sort of make that transition a little bit easier, because there's such a vast difference.
I think what's so important about something like this is you give kids the opportunity to also see their own worth and their own potential. I think once people realize what their own potential and worth is, they kind of bloom. And very often when we're in certain circumstances, we don't. We kind of just go from day to day. We don't see it. No one else sees our potential. And if no one else sees your potential, I think sometimes when you just see someone's potential and tell them, I see you, I know what you can do, all of a sudden you do get actually the best out of someone.
And that, I think, is exactly what this is about. If you think about where you learned about your potential, it was actually what you tried, the things that you tried at school. And the school that you went to was able to allow you to sing or dance or do drama or be an academic or sport. And all of these opportunities were where you actually found where your worth was and where your talents lay and where your interests lay.
Yes.
Now imagine not having that opportunity to actually see where your strengths lie or where your interests lie, because not all of us are meant to be Springbok captains or CEOs, but we all do have to find a purpose and things that activate us. And I think without a school that gives you all of this opportunity that to try everything, I was in the debating team, and I wasn't good enough to be in the school play, but I made the house play, but it was, I tried for the choir 3 years in a row until eventually Mr. Potgieter asked me never to come back again. But that's how I figured it out. That's how we all figured it out. And so if you don't have that opportunity, you'll actually get into you'll leave your teens not actually knowing what you dig and what you're good at.
You're referring to having the opportunity. I think
Yeah.
being grateful for that and realizing that is the first step, obviously. But what inspired you to be part of the CEO Cycle Challenge?
Well, to be fair, I think for me to take the kudos would be unfair. You know, with there's a guy called Johnny Berger who started the Hall of Fame. You know, and that really has been the driving force behind this. I'm delighted that we were able to align them with the Pretoria Boys High, and hopefully there'll be many more. But the reason why I was getting involved is I've got a son at Pretoria Boys High, and I've seen this program, and I've seen at work, and I've seen opportunities that's given to kids that might not have been able to afford it had it not been for this. And so that's why things like the CEO Cycle Challenge is something that I always give time to, because it's creating noise around a really cool and important topic in South Africa around empowering our youngsters and allowing for more of them to have opportunities like we had opportunities.
Yeah, it's not about cutting the slices of the cake bigger. It's about making more cake.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let's speak about your team. Tell us about your team.
Man, oh man. I thought my days of herding cats were over. But I've managed to get myself a team of 15. Inside there is one cricket player, Chris Morris, but he's obliged because he's an old boy of Pretoria Boys High, and he's big enough. He probably would have been a decent block, although he probably sees himself more as a fullback.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, Percy, Butch, Skulkberger, Yanni Duplessis, Ryan Kinkowski, Mac Messina, Hanyani Shimangi, Bretton Paulse, Akonan Dingani. So these are the boys that are going to have to...
It's a proper team.
Pedal, yeah.
It's a proper team.
And we have to obviously beat Lucas's football team.
Realistically, do you think you'll be able to beat them?
I haven't seen his team lineup yet, so it's difficult for me to put a wager on just yet, but I'm quietly confident.
I'm just thinking
Chris
muscle mass. I mean, you're going to start way back already.
I've got Joel as well. So
but then there's speed there.
I've got Brady. These are epic riders. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm going to rely heavily on them.
What is your role, though? Yours is more that I'm going to just let them lead. I'm the motivator.
Sadly, and this is probably for all those who are making bets between soccer and rugby, but sadly, I'm probably the third or fourth most able cyclist in that group.
Sure. No, I'm not saying that I think you're not a good cyclist. I'm just saying, yeah, never mind.
How much you guys have to train? When does this take place?
I think the amount of training will be limited in terms of my team. I think these guys are. I think and the reality is it's really about spending time on the bike. Next to that, the CEO that's chosen to cycle with you and spend that 25 minutes, discussing what you're actually doing there. So there will be some banter around who gets the most kilometers, but I think that's probably the last priority on the list.
That's wonderful. Just out of your team, who do you think is like the top cyclist?
Joel and Brady are going to kill it.
Okay.
So I'm expecting big things. So hopefully this message gets through to them.
If CEOs want to be part of this, how do they do it? Where do they go? What do they look at?
Without a doubt, to the Hall of Fame website. And if you pushed the CEO Cycle Challenge into Google, it'll take you to exactly where you want to go.
You'll get it.
I think it is such a wonderful thing that you guys are doing and really making such a difference and getting schools involved. You yourself was in Boys Eye, like you said, your kids in Boys Eye. Just tell us a little bit about how proud are you of a school like Pretoria Boys Eye to get involved with this?
Yeah, it's been quite surreal. Going back, it's almost like a second take as a father. And my 5 years at Pretoria Boys High were probably 5 of the best I've ever had. I had made amazing memories. I learned amazing lessons.
Yes.
There were tough times, and boarding school taught me a lot from an independence point of view. But wonderful teachers, facilities, and truth be told, if I think about what I was able to achieve and where I was when I came out of Pretoria Boys High, it has to be attributed to the teachers and the facility and the traditions of that school.
The support structure.
Absolutely, and to be able to go back, it's always amazing to be able to say, to see that your school's in a better condition than it was when you were there. That there's just more facilities, there's more for the boys to experience, and to see that they've still been able to maintain discipline. I mean, it was a lot easier in our days. I could say they could just mur us every time. But now they've got to be a lot smarter around discipline, and it's incredible. You walk through there and it's almost irritating. Sir, and they jump up and they jump down and they hat off. And to see that has been cool. So to be able to experience Pretoria Boys High for as a second chapter as a father
Yes.
has been pretty cool. Just to see the impact that it's had on my son,
Yeah.
and the opportunity that it's given him to find his
Sure.
niche.
That's great.
That it really is, and I think that's what it's all about. It really is like such a positive experience for you, going over to next generation. That's what we want to build across the country, I think, is positivity and for our country and feeling proud to go, we're South Africans, let's get that ball rolling.
It's up to us
Ja,
as to how far we go.
Sien hoe ek. Nou dis die CEO Cycle Challenge. Raak deel daarvan. Dis vir 'n baie goeie cause, and obviously these kids are going to be part of the Pretoria Boys High system, and there's going to be development, there's going to be growth. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, for taking some time out early on a Monday morning.
Thank you for giving us some bandwidth around what we're doing.
Lekker. CEO Cycle Challenge. Hoe kan 'n mens nie daarbey betrokke raak nie? As jy 'n leier van 'n industrie is, dan moet jy daar wees. Wees deel daarvan. Dit is nog behalwe die feit dat dit nogal groot sport is dit ook vir 'n goeie doel. Nou, dis die CEO Cycle Challenge. Baie dankie, die kaptein, ou captain, my captain.